Hello, Ben. Nice to see you again, mate. How am I doing? Not too bad actually. Just had a boring day at work really just today. Not much happening really. How about you? I see you're traveling in England, are you, mate? So you're based on vacation at the minute, and you're seeing family. I think you said the last week, didn't you? You head down to England, see your sister, see your nephew. Yeah, you're in England now. How's it going anyway? Has it been all right for you? Has the weather been treating it lovely? Just been keeping safe as usual at the moment, just making sure everything's all right. Everything else, just having a good time. I'm seeing my baby nephew tomorrow, by the way. Oh yeah, that's good. Good for you, sir. I'll have a nice time. Actually, be a pleasant surprise for you. Anyway, but at least you're doing okay. That's the main thing. That's the main sort of concern, really. But there we are. Have you done anything recently? Have you been sightseeing or anything, or have you just been looking around really? Just sightseeing, looking around, just embracing England. Like whereabouts in England? Hello, Deviant Film Blog. Good to see you again, mate. Welcome back. Yeah, so most of the gang's all here anyways, that's good. I think I started a couple of weeks ago anyway. I'm staying at Cavern Park near Blackpool. Really? Oh, really? Oh. So, not a bad place actually. I think you chose the right weather to do it anyway, so good for you, Cavern holidays, thank God. I haven't been on one since I was in 2016. That was the last time I've been on one in Southport. It was the last time I've been on one. Nice it was. Southport was interesting. Very much multi different architecture, everything else. I'm also in between streams, so I'll go. Hold on. I'm alternating. I'm losing words now for some strange reason. I'm alternating between two streams, so I may quit for some parts. That's fine. That's fine, mate. If you need to, that's okay. Just not really, it's just general chat, really, just like general stuff, really. Yeah, so I was in Southport live for 2016, just doing the time, really. Because I don't know, we decided to go there for a change. It's been my parents, really, many years ago. It's about 5 years ago. Christ, nearly 5 years ago that was. It was nice actually. Architecture was nice and decent. Also, I watched The Nine Lives of Cat, I will say it is complete cat shit. So it's the worst. It's not the sequel you probably expected, really. Obviously, first one's God tier, of course. Second one, obviously, has the same voice actor who does Fitz, but also one of the original producers as well. I think you mentioned in the stream beforehand, and nothing else really. It's just like entirely new. I think that's the whole thing, and yeah, no, people sort of just question, not really keen on it really. I think it's just like just to bank on success really, and that's where it came from. Usually, you tend to see that with films really. You think this film's done successfully well, interestingly. Obviously, it's blown away. Yeah, same voice, and same producer. Yeah. Okay. Because I know the voice actor who stayed on. He did. Of course, your voice fits. I wasn't too sure what the producer was anyway. So there we go. Nothing's been really been happening recently. I've just been busy at work, really. Well, not really busy at work actually, because we've slowly losing clients in a way, and we've just been most of us have been nodding around really, sitting on our asses most of the time. It's been a weird experience. It has usually because for most of the years I've been working where I'm at, really, currently I'm now, or slowly going whenever. Yeah, the first film's success in the adult animation boom in the 70s following this success, absolutely. Indeed. Yeah, if you recall from last week's stream, I said that on Friday I go to Montrose, and of course I have. Go for you, sir. Go for you. Montrose. Where is Montrose anyway? It does ring a bell. I don't know. I think of Montreux in Switzerland, but that's the wrong thing. Montrose. I really don't have no idea what that actually is, really. Strangely. You might have to give some context, man, where actually it is. The vinyls I purchased there can be seen on the video up on the channel showing them. Brilliant. So I can probably check that out anyway. So that's good. I was needing to get some vinyl anyway at some point, but I really. Well, the store closed on like a different day. I think it was on Wednesday. On Wednesday it was still like, what was it, in the morning, very much. It was closed. I think a couple hours later, I drove through town anyway, just like came back home. It was bloody open anyway, so I'm thinking about getting some Thursday, Friday. I'm hoping, because I'm Montrose in Scotland. Okay. I wasn't too sure really where that was. Thank you, Ben. Absolutely, that's good. Montrose. Not sure what it's famous for really, but there we go. Really. I will begin some more vinyl at some point. I'm interested to see what I might get actually, so I'll showcase on the next stream as well at some point. It'll be interesting to do so. A lot of Fritz knockoffs were just stag movies with the social commentary. Down with the Dirty Duck and Jungle Burger were the most famous examples. I've never heard those actually. Down with the Dirty Duck and Jungle Burger. Okay. The only thing with me, I can probably remember, like, just really, in terms of adult animation, of course, I remember following them with Viz back in the day. Viz was a very good show, that was. I mean, in terms of, we did different versions of some characters, not all of them, but like a small number of characters, like some of the big characters included in the magazines, the comics, really. It is good, actually. It's worth checking out. The Cinema Snob reviewed Dirty Dog. Did he really? Oh, so that's, might as well check the review out. It'd probably be shocking and horrible to look, really. I don't know. It could probably be like some weird revolting thing. I'm trying to think actually. What are the films that sort of does that anyway? I'm trying to think. What was it? I do remember some weird stuff I remember seeing back in the day, like some American shows. Like what was that one? It's that bloody show. It's like meant to be like a reality show, like different characters from like different genres or whatever. Oh, what's it called? Drawn Together. That's it. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. Again, that is crude anyway, and just very just like, oh, that's it. The only this special I've ever seen is watching Melody Mel on telly. It's fucking brilliant. Yes, I do have that on DVD, in a box set somewhere. Because the first time I ever saw about Viz was through the VHS of the Fat Slags with the Star Wars animated one. One of the vinyls I got from Montrose last Friday was the Beatles' Help album, which you can guess was a reissue. Oh yes, the 80s reissue. Or like late 70s, 80s reissue. Okay, that's interesting. I think I've got an original copy, I think, roughly. I think from the 60s of Help. I won't say it's the original, a very proper original copy, maybe a bit later, I think. Who knows? Maybe. 70s reissue, maybe, of my version of Help. Indeed. I've never seen, of course, Drawn Together. I've seen a few episodes. I could say it's I think so. Yeah, there was some. It's one of those things. There was a craze. What I remember was there was a weird craze of like reality shows, but do animation. Believe it or not, people like live in the house. People like Big. It's like Big Brother, that sort of thing. But Americanized and also put stream characters in as well. That was that one. I do remember seeing it actually. I think it was recommended or sort of knew about it. And I watched it actually, and I think what I know is they did the series. I think they do 2 series and then end up with a special, like a movie, I think, at the end. I can give some maybe some little context as well, because you got like, there's some, what was them? It's a 2012 reissue, mastered by Giles Martin, son of Bill's producer George Martin. Oh. I don't really go for those reissues anyway, because I know, for what I know, a couple of people told me that those reissues are not the best. I would say. I know the Abbey Road ones, like from 2012, are not the best ones. I would say. It's just one of those things, really. Indeed. Yes, adult animation on TV had a massive boom after South Park, although I think Family Guy truly started. I would say, I think so, yes. Family Guy was sort of like that point, really, I would say. I mean, South Park, I would probably say it took a while to really sell into the zeitgeist very much. Like, if you look at, go out to 97, you look at the show, that's cardboard cutout. Everything else, like it's, crude, sort of. I'm trying to think. You think we in British we just think stuff like Captain Pugwash, Ivory Engine, Noggin the Nog and stuff like that. And it's sort of like does that sort of same thing really, in a way. Card animation just drawn. It's really simple thing, but way more out there, crude and different. Obviously, mainly two people, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, attached to it. Really. And obviously Family Guy came along. I think because of its social commentary in a way, I would say. I was going to play the album, but after playing it, the needle started skipping. Even it was brand new. It was likely a pressing error. It skips throughout the whole album. Now that might be the reason why they're not the best ones to go on from. Because I don't buy second-hand ones. Like second-hand ones are sort of the ones I go for really, and they play better. They do. I'm not sure about the other related stuff, but I avoid the 2012 reissues, the vinyl reissues of the Beatles albums. I usually tend to. Yeah, the only first episode that was complete paper cut out. The rest was done on computers. Really? So like this, like that pilot stuff, like the very first episode was sort of done that, and afterwards I think, no, it's too time consuming when there's a do on computers. Oh, that's interesting. I would say. I never knew that. I always thought they'd start with like cut out first for the first series, or maybe the first two or whatever. I looked on the album and on Amazon, I've noticed a few people reviewed it and had this very same issue. Indeed, I think that's what the issues claim, because I only heard it through word of mouth really with these vinyl pressings. So I just stayed away from them really. I just ended up just getting secondhand stuff really, like if it's original pressings and mono pressings, or just anything like maybe like stuff from the 80s or something like that. They tend to work more better than they do, I would say. And my other reissued Beatles albums play home fine though. I just don't know really. It could be just that pressing really. I'll tell you what. There was a single I had. I still got it. It's a charity single. I can't remember what bloody song it's called, but something to do like a charity single from the 80s. I think 85. I think it was released. I think or something. And I try and attempt to play it, but for some strange reason, if I put the needle on the record, it stops it completely. It's weird. I think it's done to the various ones I've done, actually. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's like it's criminal me to play the song. I have no idea. It's a weird one, in a way. But I'm just trying to find out why it's done that. To be honest, I prefer the older South Park style to the new one, because one South Park looks a little computerized. The crappier the better. Yeah. Like the budget of it feels like how it originally looked. Yeah. I haven't seen South Park for years. It's a long time since I've checked South Park out. I've seen the film. I've seen bigger, longer, and uncut on when Comedy Central premiered it. Actually, I think the time actually on TV. So I recommend that you don't buy the 2012 reissue, of course, at all costs, as I skip the album. Absolutely. I've only got a second-hand copy from, I think it's from the 70s. I think it is. I don't know, or 60s. It depends. Actually, I'm not too sure. I think later on. I think. And that song works perfectly, that does. That second-hand copy of Help. Indeed. Let's go back to South Park. I've only seen the film. I've only ever seen like the Imagination Land trilogy as well. And the one that Britney Spears has her head blown off, and she's basically just like walking around with half her head's blown off entirely, and that. I like both the specials that they did during the pandemic. Really, and I never actually knew. I don't really know. Well, I don't really know, because I don't really keep up with South Park. I don't really watch Comedy Central as I used to. I never really keep up with it. I don't know. South Park doesn't really. It was interesting at the time because I was used by a couple of mates, really. Thinking like, oh, this will be interesting. Of course, obviously, it was endorsed in pop culture. but I never really watched it fully. I never actually bought the seasons, never watched them entirely throughout. It was not like that really. I do know. I think the recent things I remember, of course, is when Garrison becomes Trump. I don't know how that's worked out. I don't know because the only time I saw remember that was when Jeffrey Kitch did his character chronicles on Garrison, and basically, end up, fucking Trump, the real Trump, of course, and then they were coming in with a toupee on there, becoming like basically just twisted, sexually twisted and whatnot, and keeps on shagging men, really, giving them the anal. Quite nice actually. I was picking these from Asda recently. I think yesterday. Did I? I did. Yeah, these from Asda yesterday. I can get these actually. Got like little bottles they do, like bubblegum bottles, cola bottles, strawberries and jelly beans are in this thing. I think that's the only thing they've got in there, really. But you can plastic. It's plastic anyway. You can just twist the cap on and roll it on. Got a sort of smell to it. Nice actually. Okay, very nice. I do what I do just earlier beforehand, a couple of hours ago. I've been tempted to make. I made some attempt to do some cocktails actually, or like a different version of a drink really. First one I did, I used some Copperberg new vodka I did. I think they got one that's like strawberry and it's got lemon. I chose the lemon one. I did. I mixed it with Oasis, the Summer Fruits Oasis, and it was actually very nice, very pleasant taste to it. I have to admit, really good stuff. And I asked my mate actually over social media and whatnot because I showed a picture of it. And so it's nice, but I don't know what to call it. I'm not sure what to call it though. And it came up the name Tickle for Mickle. So that's what it's called. So if you have an Oasis and some Copperberg lemon vodka, you call it a Tickle for Mickle. You do. The other one I did, I used Copperberg lemon vodka I do as a base. So you put that in first, then you add some stuff on. I had quite a little bit of Vimto, not the standard fizzy Vimto. It was actually the diluted squash Vimto. Put some in there and put scraps of lemonade into it. I'll tell you what, what it gave out was a weird, so sweet, very sweet taste out of it. In a way, it was like having sweets again, like like someone put liquorized sweets together. Strange it was, but it was actually all right. It was. I mean, that's not too bad really. I don't know what to call that one, so I don't know entirely sure. And the other one I did I think after I did three actually. The other one I did was what do you call it? It's like some Spanish spring water, sparkling water called Espienza. I think it's called that. It's known as. You see it in stores most of the time. They do like juicing and stuff. They do, with full capsule top, weirdly. What was it, like morello cherry and pomegranate, and basically put vodka in there. Nice. It was actually pretty good. I call it a pale shelter. I do. But it was an interesting time. It was interesting. It was, and yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I felt pleased about actually doing them ones actually. So I think Tickle for Mickle is probably the best one. Then Pale Shelter, I'd probably say, is next. Then that one afterwards, the untitled, unnamed one, which again has a bit of a sweet, very sweet taste to it. Very sweet. It sort of hits you. It does. It hits your tongue. It does. It's like having these, but liquidized. Like the whole taste of it. It's interesting. Much so, I would say. Let's move the camera here a little bit. Seem to be okay. Pretty good. I think. Let's see. I think I'll try and aim to do like maybe an hour and a half today. I think for this stream, largely because I've got like a meeting tomorrow with the higher ups that do like the head honchos. Sorry, I've got nothing to say. It's fine, mate. You know, it's one of those. It's gonna be. It's one of those streams, isn't it? You know, we have nothing much to say. I'm meeting with the head honchos tomorrow. A couple of meetings going on tomorrow. Just about the future of our career, really. At that point. I can probably say what's going on actually because I never really addressed this anywhere, but I'm sort of losing my job at some point anyway in August and September. August, September. We're not too sure when the actual outcome is. There's some still strange stuff going on at the minute. There is indeed. For people don't really know about me very much. I'm a care support worker. I am. I've worked in care for about I've done health and social care for about nearly 8 years actually, believe it or not. Been working that industry for a while actually. And this place I worked for about nearly four and a half years, which I've been on parallel with my YouTube as well actually. I think around the same time I started the YouTube channel as well actually. So they've been in parallel. So you've got the main job, but you've got the hobby as well, indeed. So I've been working those just two together really, like throughout. I cancelled my order of the Coons King DVD because it was clear it wasn't going to be back in stock. But a listing on the Blu-ray came up, so I ordered instead. So that's good. So at least you got a decent Blu-ray. That's good. Probably be a better quality as well, actually, I have to admit. You know, it depends. With DVD, actually probably have like a base, maybe not be as good. I don't know. But going back to my sort of job thing, of course, I will be finding some more work at some point, whenever actually. I don't really know. We'll see. But we are. The thing is, the thing sort of it came out of the blue really. I can probably retrace what's going on really. So this would have been sort of like in April. This would have been April the 7th. We had this big meeting. But before that, we had a letter come through. I had a letter come through actually on Saturday, but which is strange. Normally, you don't get posts on a Saturday, so it was like a weird thing actually popping up. It's like, oh, that's interesting. It's from the company I work for anyway, and it felt strange. It felt weird. It felt a bit odd, really. They said there's a meeting with some of the head people, of course, and you have to meet in this marquee outside the house or whatever. You know, this sort of facility where I work with. I went for a used copy because a new copy is something like £120. The one I ordered for is only just £12. That's a bargain. That's an absolute bargain. I can't imagine a used copy of Coonskin for £120. That is unbelievable, and that's from Amazon, isn't it? God, bloody hell! Honestly, they're sort of ripping off a lot of people, aren't they? You know, I think some of the people in Amazon are sort of like a bunch of you know, just interested for the cash really. If you probably look on eBay or something like that, they're probably selling a lot more. You probably get a DVD for something like maybe $39.99, just for used and sealed. Who knows? Oh God, it's one of those things. It's scalpers. That's what it is. Yeah, some sellers are morons. Absolutely. It's really just that sort of thing. You know, it's like anywhere else. You know, I didn't realise. I actually forgot about this actually until it was reminded until yesterday. Is that the standard edition of season 18 and season 10 were released? Actually, I didn't know they come out quite soon. Actually, so didn't really get them. I'm hoping to get to like season 26. I'm hoping to get that actually. I'm interested in that one. I can't imagine anyone will be thick enough to buy any of that price. Well, you never know. There's always different reasons. There's always different things that people sell. Keeping people's interest. It's like, you know, oh, I really want this, but it's like 120 quid, isn't it? It's like, I remember when I was getting season 23, I remember like CEX selling stuff like the limited editions of like season 19, season 18, season 10 for about £110. 110 quid for them ones. Season 23, the one I picked up was only £60, and that was cheaper, believe it or not. And I thought, like, you know, it was it was mostly its sleeve and everything else. We had all content, everything else. I thought, yeah. I pre-ordered the special edition of the Web of Fear and Evil of the Daleks. Yes, I was quite surprised that they actually announced that Evil of the Daleks is the next one. Obviously, there was a thing going around, like they were thinking, like, what will be next? And it's sort of like we would say Evil of the Daleks and the Abominable Snowmen will be next. I'm surprised that Evil of the Daleks will be next, because I think beforehand there was some things like Galaxy 4 was the next one, believe it or not, like the whole recreation of Galaxy 4. But we were sort of proven wrong, we were. I mean, you never really trust people on the internet. But it's like there was some stuff going on that was like involving was the next reconstruction. So it's Evil of the Daleks, which I'm looking forward to. September 27th it's coming out, so I'll be looking forward to get that. Absolutely, along with some of the others I've got, of course. So the only two I've got here at the moment is the Faceless Ones and Fury from the Deep, and just that little pile just here, along with a couple more. Indeed, so they'll be nicely placed on the shelf, of course. Indeed, so I'm looking for that. Evil of the Daleks animation really came out of nowhere, but at least I don't have to wait a year for Evil of the Daleks to get announced. Absolutely, indeed. When did Fear of the Deep come out? Was it late last year? I'm trying to think, actually. Let me have a little quick look, because that was the last one that came out. There are only 4 Troutons unavailable on DVD, so there's, oh yeah, and 10 Hartnells. So yeah, why haven't they done Hartnell yet? You know, doing. I think that's the main thing. They've got to finish all Trout stuff anyway, and then do Hartnell next. I think that's the plan, because the things that's missing. I mean, we're still missing the Highlanders. We still need. What else? Abominable Snowmen, Wheel in Space, and Space Pirates. I'm hoping that she animates, you know, the 2 main episodes for Underwater Menace as well. That's the main thing. Hartnell. We need some more Hartnell, we do, because you know, obviously, I think people at this point, of course, I mentioned like it's going to be like, you know, it's like it's come more fatigue, of course. You know, I think people, when they're saying like now it's like Galaxy 4 might come out, I think like, oh yes, we finally got, like some people probably saying that we finally got a Hartnell story reconstructing. You know, in the same way, it's like hell yes, and obviously that never came to be. Well, we never know actually. We still don't know. But I think with Troughton, they'll do up Chance first, I think. Then they'll do Hartnell afterwards. Indeed. I'm actually interested to think, you know, what might come out next, actually, after the reconstructions. Once they've done the reconstructions for the missing episodes, what will come next? Would they adapt some other stuff, really? Would they... I don't know. Would they do something like what they do with Sharda? You know, animated re-record some new stuff, of course, of an old story. What is your opinion on the animated colours? Personally, I don't like them because they look bland. Just close up of the Doctor's face and nothing really happened about them. Excuse me. So these colours, I have to admit, yeah, I'm very sort of, they're very bland, I've noticed. I think the best one to come out of that range was Power of the Daleks, because it was like familiar ground it was. That was probably the better one. The original 2016 version that come out, that had the same thing, of course. They were resuming the Blu-ray sets, of course. I mean, obviously the Blu-ray sets, of course, they will definitely come out. Obviously, you know, box sets, limited editions, standard editions, of course. And then in terms of like what was come out with, the Faceless ones is bollocks. See the Faceless ones, yeah. What about Macroterror? I think Macroterror is it's the same. I think. I mean, Fury from the Deep as well. Is the way I think, and also Evil of the Daleks as well. I think. But Power of the Daleks was probably been the best one, I think, because I mean, he sort of captured what the duties were like, really. Doctor and Companion have a couple of Daleks on each side, of course, shooting, shooting the little guns out a bit much. And it's like Power of the Daleks and even the special edition are the best examples. Absolutely. I don't own. Yeah, I don't have. I don't have the special edition. I do of Power of the Dark. So we've only got the original 2016 version. I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. It's like McIntyre's had a rubbish cover. That's true. Yeah, it's like Patrick Jones' face is looking skin and his claws coming over it. Same with Fury from the Deep as well. But I think Keep of the Darks as well. I think, you know, again, could have been more. You know, they could have used the ones maybe similar to maybe sort of like the BBC CD ones, the BBC had released back in the 1990s, 2000s, whatever. Either Dark and Fury of the Deep are the best examples. Maybe. I don't know. I look at Fury of the Deep, and it's probably, you know, I like a good little collage. What I do like about the TV covers, I think back in the when I'm trying to think when. Trying to think of a good one. I always have like a shape emblem in the middle, and they look pretty good. It's like when I collected a good portion back in 2010 when they were releasing them at the time. But you saw like Peloton tables, Mask of Mandragora, Creature from the Pit, and what else? You know, Revenge of Simon, Silver Nemesis, that sort of thing. But even then, still no, absolutely. I think they should have done like what they've originally done, really. You know, back in the olden days, you know, get some like Lee Binding to do artwork on. That would have been good. If I can give an example. I mean, stuff like that. Something like that might be ideal. I don't know. I picked the wrong story to go on from, but there we go. But it's all again elements of circles, of course. A couple of characters there, of course, and yeah, the brilliant Clayton Hickman and Lee Binding covers are gone. I know they have. I'm sure I think who'd done this one. Clayton Hickman has done this one. That's a very good one, actually. I have to admit, you know, that's pretty good. It's shaming. Even the Lee Binding does all the collector stuff, of course, which have been absolutely fantastic. They're really good. Shame they don't do it anymore. Did Lee Binding did the Power of the Darks one, the 2016 one? Or was it somebody else? I'm not too sure. I can check on here actually, because I think I did reverse some covers on here. Have a look. Even the Christopher Loftus covers of the reconstructions done better. I think actually they're pretty good. Colin Howard, the 2016 one. Oh, did he? Oh. That's interesting. I'm trying to think who did this one. So this is Versus ones. What are we seeing here, actually? Policy is a very small print. Let me see. So obviously that, yeah, I can tell. That's bland, I have to admit. Let's place this one here. I'm trying to think who actually did the original cover on here. The book text is done by Charles Norton, of course. I'm travelling. Who also did some of the VHS covers. He did actually. I can't think who was the one. I've only got one Doctor Who VHS I do on the two Doctors from 993 during the 30th anniversary. I don't know if that's Andrew Skilleter. I don't know. Is it Colin Howard? It's one of them two who actually done it. I'm not too sure. I don't know, but they're fantastic now. I do own. Do I? Colin Howard. I do own some stuff by Alistair Pearson. He's actually pretty good. Alistair Pearson, I think, did some of the Target stuff. He redid some of the Target books he did in the 90s when Virgin reissued them. I do want some of the artworks in there is actually pretty good. Clayton Hickman often did photo montages, and Lee Binding often did a semi-painted look. That is true, actually. Yeah. If you look at Big Finish, of course, there's always that photo collage, really. If you look at the early releases, of course, you know what Clayton's been up to, really. Anyway, there's like take a little bit of like an image of specimen, of course, put in like fade a little bit, like I think pre-Photoshop it was actually back in the day, back in those days, like in 1999, 2000. But it did its job. It did at that time. I'm just trying to get this thing out. Christ almighty. Because there's a free disc set. Bloody hell. Junkie for that. Right. Yeah. The show's coming out in a clear case as well. Just to be, if I talk about reconstructions and Fury from the Deep, mine just comes in a clear case when I first got it. Did yours come in that, or did it come in a standard silver casing? I'm interested to know. I really don't know. Let's have a look. At least this is over, I have to admit. I've only read a little bit about Time of Victorious. That's from the Ninth Doctor. There's a comic I remember reading, well, part one of the comic actually, which is called Monstrous Beauty, to do with the Ninth Doctor against the great vampires, stuff like that, and Rose being turned into a vampire, or being sacrificed to be a vampire, stuff like that. That's interesting. I love the old VHS covers done by Alistair Pearson and Drew Skeletor. The 1990s ones. Yeah, they're pretty good. They are, I have to admit. Very good design on them. Fantastic stuff on them. What's the best ones? I'm trying to think of some. What are the best ones? In my opinion, I would say I always like the double pack ones. Some of the double pack ones, like I'm trying to think of what the stories are on some of them. I think somewhere the Visitation Black and Black Orchid. I probably said to this one. I'll be going now. I'll see you next week. See you later, Ben. Best of luck, mate. Enjoy the rest of your time, and have a wonderful time, mate. Okay, off your caravan holiday. See you around, mate. I'm really trying to think of any of us. Like again, Visitation Black Orchid. The Awakening Frontios, I'd probably say as well. I do like the 80s covers are a little bit half-assed, but it was the 80s. Absolutely. I do want stuff in the 80s. I do want 80s pictures. They're half-assed anyway. These pictures, don't they? Do I have one here? No, I don't have any around here. What was the other one? I don't know. Thomas Sanchin tape from the early 86 it was, and that's half-assed. It is. That is very half-assed in terms of how it's designed. I think it probably was like 85, 86. It was, have a decent little picture of the front, which came from an angle, and on the back side you got a picture, and then you got this like yellowish paper on top. It's very it's very patchy, half-assed. It is. I've seen that. It's a bit garish. I had it for a long time. I did, and yeah, not the best, aren't they? Even though the embossed cases are lovely, I have to admit the embossed cases are nice. Black case, you have like an emboss on there. Very nice, actually. That's nice little detail on that, which I do like about those things, about the 80s. They never continued when they did like the clear ones, for the clear standard ones, but I think it's like budgeting, really, I would say. And also cheaper to afford, cheaper to use, really. Who knows? You can use utility tape from the 80s because they're a black case. Absolutely. I did. Actually, some of the ones I had actually had clear cases. Just depends when they were bought. I think I've only got a couple, maybe not two. Well, that one Thomas Sanchin one I mentioned before is in a black case. All the rest, most of the rest of the ones I had were in clear cases, really. And that's how it was, strangely. But it had a nice video collection embossed ident in the case. Fantastic. I still have that. Lovely. One of the best things. I've been rewatching this actually recently. I've watched 2 stories yesterday actually. Sherlock Holmes. I'm just on the very first series anyway. I watched the first 4 stories. Scandal Bohemia, The Dancing Men, The Naval Treaty, and what do we call that one? The Solitary Cyclist, it's known as, I think. Let me have a little quick look. The Solitary Cyclist, that's it. They've been really good actually. I've been very impressed with it. We've got over for about 50 minutes, but it's actually pretty good stuff. I just got bored sometimes. I thought I might as well watch some DVDs really. So I've been watching these actually in a way because I do like this version of Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Breton. Fantastic stuff. Obviously, chunky box set, loads of stuff on this one, tons, a lot of credits, 16 DVDs in this thing, quite a lot. But it's fantastic. I remember the first one I remember seeing was The Speckled Band at secondary school, and I thought that was really good actually. And I've captured a few bits and pieces over in ITV3 now and again, but it's time to really start from the beginning and actually rewatch it. Also, the Thomas Session covers look a bit shit. The Owen Bell covers from the late 80s. That's one of their ones. I really don't know. Some of them seem half-assed, I've noticed, in the 80s, because the first one I mentioned before, the very first one I ever owned really, obviously it's half-assed really, but that's how it was in the 80s. The other two that came out in November in '86 are interesting because obviously it has this weird green effect to them. There's a picture. There's this marker font on it as well that coordinates from black and red, strangely. And on the back, you've got like 4 pictures from different episodes on it. Some don't really fit in with the rest. Some of them come from a different VHS entirely, which is how it was back in the 80s. But I do like them actually. Interesting. They're the two are probably better designed at that point. I'll tell you what. There's a guy who actually did the Owen Bell ones. There's a guy called Peter Hill, and he has a website he does actually. Talks about it's like a slideshow, like you go through slide points of different history with him sometimes. Talks about his time, how he was employed and everything else. Talks about the covers that he worked for, went for Video Collection International. The first tape was a promo shot, and the rest was shots of episodes. Absolutely, yeah. I do own them. I do own the original classical versions anyway. The A6 versions I do own entirely. Indeed. Well, the third one, the Cole one, is uncut anyway. Different cut to the rest of them, of course. Indeed. But Peter Hill actually, I know, did the Owen Bell ones in the late 80s. And it says on the thing, he says he felt proud of doing those actually. That's probably one thing he was proud of doing, just them ones. They are a good design, but I never saw those on Wild, interestingly. Oh yeah, Peter Hill. He did the Video Collection covers during the 80s, absolutely. I think he designed the ident as well. He designed the Video Collection ident. And apparently on his website, there's quite a few different variations of what they were going for the ident, but he chose the obvious one, the infamous, fantastic, obvious one. But there was a few other ones that they never actually considered using, which is interesting. Designed as also, what else did he do? He did a video, which was that double box set they did in the 80s. He did the Nippers one, I think for Contender back in the 90s. He did that one. And what else? He did a few stuff like Columbia TriStar, not the Cinema Club ones, like some actual Columbia TriStar VHS releases he did. He's also done other stuff. He's done some single material as well, actually, for like 7-inch singles as well. The one that sort of springs to mind to me is the Elton John for Tom Bell EP from the late 70s, I think. He was involved in that one, really. So that was his design, really. So he started off making record sleeves first, then jumped on board to make the ident for the Video Collection, and then most of I think a little bit portion of stuff for the Video Collection, really, in terms of like designs. Depends on what he's been given, really. Like, depends what brief he's been given. It could be something totally different, but Peter Hill was sort of the main ones, really. Indeed. I'm not too sure who designed the VCR logo. I'm not too sure who done that one. I do know the CEO anyway, of course. He's called Steve Ayres. He was the main person. There's another guy called Paddy, I think his name is. But Steve Ayres was the main head boss of the Video Collection, really. And obviously you see him like being all smug and everything else like in 1995 and whatnot. There's some pictures to prove it actually. Him inside some weird old-fashioned office. Really some strange office holding, with Beatle VHSs, like a promotion thing. Those are those 95 reissues that VCI put out at that point. I do remember actually, I saw those images recently. I was just looking about it actually. But there's some interesting stuff with Peter Hill anyway. Again, website talks about there's some interesting history of that fella. Definitely worth check out actually. I don't know where I come across that stuff, but I think it might be somebody else actually. Who I don't know. Who did that? I don't know. Only the 84 logo of the animation looks slightly off as the logo appeared on the sleeves. The A6 logo animation corrected it. Yeah, I don't really get that sort of thing. I mean, because it's the early version, of course, very much, and it seems strange. I do find it quite fascinating of the technology, really, how it swoops around its little black plinth or whatever you call it. I do think that's decent. That is, the music is interesting, very simply, of course, but I do like the obviously it's better. I would say the A6 one was better. I would say in many ways possible. I think look at the old one. It was quite a strange experience, really, when looking back on it. But it's just don't know really. It's just like in terms of music, if you're like, oh, isn't it? That's the early version of it. Okay, but I always prefer the original A695 version. I would say more better. I know many VHS at the time, including some other films like Running Man. I think what was the other one? I'm trying to think of any ones I can think of really with that one on. Christ. I'm really losing track now. I am. I'm trying to think. A6 logo is the best, absolutely. The 95 logo is it's different. It's computer again, update computer animation, just totally different. No idea who designed that one, so we don't know. Obviously, no the A6 one, or the regular one, of course, is done by Peter Hill, of course, who's probably still around. The 95 one, I haven't got a clue, an idea, really, but just a weird one, really. Also, it was used in like early stuff in like the early 90s. Weirdly, I think dating, as I would say, I think 91, 92. I have nostalgia for the 95 logo. Well, I didn't actually, because I hated the thing. It was nightmare fuel and it was creepy as fuck. I always dreaded that. At least like new video, absolutely. And you look at the tape, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, that thing. It's like oh, it's released by this thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like have to hide away first, hide in a cupboard or whatever. Hide or go behind the sofa. Use the behind the sofa method, and wait till it's finished. Wait till it's over. And basically watch your tape. Enjoy your cake and eat it, type thing. Of course, without watching the bludgeoning of silver metallic shapes flying around with some horrible atmospheric music, which probably sounds Japanese when I look back on it. But it was a weird experience. I hated that one. It just freaked the fuck out of me as a kid. Also, it got me back. It caught me off guard a few times as well. Actually, a couple times. First time, of course, they reissued it. I think there was a Thomas VHS I remember getting from a car boot sale many years ago. I think it was called Rock and Roll. It was known as. It's probably it was originally released in '94, but the version I got, I think I remember getting, was a rare 95 version that had the 95 on it. I didn't know actually, really, because I never knew about it. It's like oh good. Finally sit back and watch it's tape. It's a video collection, A6 one, fabulous. Ingo's Player, bloody Carnival promo comes on. It's like, oh wait, what? Hang on, I'm confused. It's like, wait, what? This logo's on, and it's like, this promo's on. Then ident. It's like, oh, wait, what? Well, to say it was original content on it, of course, but it was strange. Very rare one. I think the only Thomas tape I only had one Thomas tape with the A6 logo on. I think for me, I'm trying to think of. I think I had quite half and half. I did with mine. The A6 logo and the 95 logo. I had half and half. I did really, but some of my favourite ones. Actually, to be believe it or not, I would say, from the head. I've only had like 5. So my all-time favourites, I think the ones I had, the earliest ones, I only had 5 actually that had the A6 logo on. The first 3 from the 80s I remember getting didn't have an ident at all. They had the warning screens, like early warning screen for no ident for some bizarre reason. It was strange. Then I had Pickwick Video, 2 from there, Screen Legends actually, which I do think is a very good logo. Again, 80s and dated as hell, but it was nice. Very, very good one. And obviously the A6 logo, A6 to 95 logo, I only had 5 on there, funny enough. And let me think. I probably got 4 with the 95 logo on. I mean, in terms of like, in terms of the early stuff I remember getting. Now since then, I remember getting more and more since then. But the main 14 I actually covered on cassette versions. That was all just a weird thing, really. So the first 3, no ident, weirdly. 2 come from Pickwick. Well, the other 2 come from Pickwick Video. 5 come from had the A695 logo on. 4 come from have the 95 logo on it. So a weird mixture it was. Strange thing, really. I'm just trying to think actually. What do you think is the best BBC video ident, in your opinion? What do you think is the best one? Because I do have a range of. I always have like a few different videos that have different idents on them anyway. Like I think ranging from the 80s to. I'm trying to think actually. The main 4. Marty had Thomas Preston and the Coffin Screen Legends, but it didn't have an opening logo. Oh, so okay, that's interesting. So it has the warning, then it just cuts into the titles. Same thing with what I did with the A6 ones. I remember getting from A6. They never had any idents on. Yet they had the warning screens for the video collection for both the 84 and the A6. Well, the first one I talked about, the horrendous patchwork cover artwork on it, had the 84 warning screen on it, no ident. And the other 2 had the A695 warning screen on it, but no ident either. Strange. So it's like I was getting a taste of it. It's like it's like you see this warning screen, you think, oh, okay, but it just cuts into the titles of the show. It's weird. This is how what it was back in the day. Of course, nowadays you get the fully ident, of course, like it's demanded the company really. But I never knew that one. Yeah. I don't know. Have you think for the 97 one? Oh, the BBC one, the corporate, what they call the corporate brand one. That's always been good. That has. What struck me was, and I found recently there was an early variant of it actually. I guess I'll have to go with 80s and 88 for the 80 and 88 logo. The diamond logo, yes, and the globe. I love the globe. The globe one I absolutely adore. In terms of its music, the music always gets me, that does. It's brilliant, very of its time. It was composed on a Roland D50 Jupiter, Roland D50 synthesizer, if I'm right, actually. Well, that is really good, that is fantastic. The diamond logo, I only had it on 2 VHSs, I think, at the time. Only 2. The first 2 Family 7 videos I remember getting. They had the diamond logo, like of its synthesizer one. I know there's some other ones that had like a different arrangement of the theme, or like a different version of it. I didn't theme to it. But I do like that as well, actually. Obviously, but I think the later ones, of course, always have that little synthy one. That's all we're so familiar with. I do like that. Plus the slides. I guess you call them slides from 91 to 97. They're pretty good as well. I think over time I really do enjoy those actually. Again, it's like instant. It is instant. It doesn't hang around. It's like only for a couple of seconds. And it's like there we go. Enter promo slide, whatever, and sorry, I'm just make a bit of weird noise then. Sure about the neighbours or not. That's the net. Can't about the neighbours or not now. Keep up with weird noises. Yeah, but the slide one, I do think I do like that logo actually. It's a fantastic logo. Funny enough, they actually redid the logo, didn't it, just recently? But I think this small on the text, didn't they? Absolutely. But I know someone on Twitch actually made some interesting variants of it. Actually, I think they should really like bring these back really in a way, like do something different. But I would love to see that sort of that logo back really. slanted logo. Like I guess we call like the italic logo. I call it sometimes. If it doesn't matter, like italic would be. Anyway, but them four are really good because I remember growing up with them. I think the diamond logo probably least because I only had 2 bare chists of it. Whereas in some videos, the current logo is just shit. It is actually, yeah. I don't know why. But also the rebranded stuff, so they're redoing it since 97. Well, they make it small, really. Interestingly, I guess you call it the corporate brand logo. I think it's known as, but it's all right. Speaking of which, I think I forgot to mention, of course, that the early one. I was quite surprised actually. It's an early variant with different music, of course. Yeah, they had the corporate logo since October '97. Yeah, strangely. So that's about nearly 24 years. Nearly 24 years they kept that. Obviously, it's well known. It's well famous. You know, it's so much. You know, you see it plastered all over the place. You do. I do. Yeah, even looking at it, I do miss the this. You know, the slanted one, the slide one. That was more. It was more in your face. It was. I don't know. It seemed in your face. It seemed innocent, but I always think like it screams the past. It does. It screams the '90s. It does. You know, like sort of like a symbol of the '90s. It does. That one. I really do think that's one of the best ones. Back in a second. Oh. But I do actually. That one's always been good. I have to admit. I do actually own quite a few num VHS sets in the thing really. 2 Doctors I do own with that logo on it. 2 Noddy videos, 1 compilation. I remember back in the day. I found an old news report from '97 about a little storm with the logo calls, mainly changing the BBC One identity the whole term. Oh god, I remember that all those years ago. Christ, I never knew it kicked up a storm. Oh, interesting. It's better than any other things I saw kicked up a storm in like in 1997. Mainly Teletubbies actually. That's one I saw kicked up a storm. I did. You know, back in that time. There's always kick up storms, of course. You know, because you got the the introduction to Tony Blair as Prime Minister. That maybe kicked up a storm as well. The death of Princess Diana. The end of Britpop as well. Obviously, people hated it. I didn't mind it. I think I look at it and think, oh, pretty. You know, you sort of look as a young kid, very much like, well, very young kid. From my stats, where I was from, when I was born. Of course, you think, oh, pretty balloon. It's like having shiny keys on your face. You think, oh. And you're so distracted. It's like, you know, that's nice. And then comes on soap operas or something like that, or something ridiculous, documentary or something, or something about a famous politician we don't even know. There we go. But I never had problems with it actually. I think if I look at it now, I'd probably say, yeah, it's a bit rubbish really. It's not the oneness idents. I really think they're not the best. Those oneness things, I really just can't get behind those. Teletubbies was very controversial when it was launched due to the fear of kids wouldn't pick up language. That is true. Because the only I think they all speak English in a way, but they don't really say much really. It's just like, you know, talk about the name, just the lanes and everything else. But it really did kick up a storm. I think in like doing the summer it did. There's a good documentary about it called Big Hug as well, released in '98, just a year afterwards, and that talks about its inception, but also the backlash that the creative team of who produced it actually had faced. Really, you know, like people being interviewed and being cut off television, like trying, like actually trying to speak, you know, try and make a point of stuff, and then she basically gets cut off television, really, like, you know, off air. You know, really being savage stuff, very savage stuff on that front, which is surprising. In many ways, because obviously Anne Wood, who actually made it as well, like actually created it, she had a lot of shows, brilliant shows underneath her belt at the time. You know, stuff like Roland Rat. You've also got like Paul Playbox, Rosie and Jim, Broughton, Tots TV, and what's the other one? I don't know actually if those the other ones I was so famous for, really, at that time. Yeah, that documentary was pretty. It is good actually. It's a very interesting documentary. It's very good insight of actually how it was meant to be because of how it was meant. They looked at like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They think, well, that doesn't work. Can we do something a bit more innocent or something like that? They look at it and think, let's do the total opposite. And they do. I think Andrew Davenport, which actually is freaking, which I find is interesting because he was the voice and puppet of Tiny in Tots TV. Weirdly, and I look at him and think, so he's played like a sort of Stroud, like sort of man with sort of a little bit of hair, not much hair really, who probably looked like an accountant, actually, and also becomes a puppeteer and does the voice of Tiny. It's a bit weird that it's actually seen interviews like being like, oh yes, and everything else. We just planned to do this TV show, and that sort of thing. It felt a bit weird, really. I believe just before Teletubbies, we were just intending to make a show for slightly older children. They were intending to. I think that was the main intention, really, because it was to do with spacemen in a garden, like the bottom of a garden, like miniature, like bloody Honey I Shrunk the Kids, or the Borrowers, something like that. In a way, very much like living in the grass, tails and chairs, whatnot, because they're inspired by obviously the NASA space missions, really. But that would have been an interesting thing. Obviously, you sort of get that sort of garden filled with that bloody in the night garden, which, funny enough, I did see at work once, and I looked at it. I think you can tell it's done by Ragdoll, but you can tell it's Teletubby as it's trying to capture the Teletubbies in sort of different spirit, really. But it's not the best. I've only seen that briefly, and it's like, oh God, no. So I tend to avoid that one. I tend to avoid, I think from what Ragdoll's done really good. I think for me, it's probably from Playbox to Teletubbies. So like late 80s, late 90s. That's when the period was like freaking big. At that point, they were sort of like hitting gold. They've done bub shows. They probably work fantastically. Yeah, the Spaceman idea then other things happens really, like i.e. LSD. Like but I think they don't like living off LSD, like living in an acid world or something. To be fair, most TV shows you look at these days tend to think you're on LSD at the moment. It was again weird. It's like you can probably watch this and you sort of look at it, it's colourful, it's bright, and you sort of want an audacious thing, like you're going through like this weird little tunnel of light and whatnot, like a kaleidoscope of absolute shite in a way. It's like it's like getting motion sickness sometimes if you look at it. But I used to remember when I used to watch old kids TV shows, it felt like being on an acid trip anyway. Like really, you've gone down this weird rabbit hole of complete strangeness, really, and about you're talking as a young kid who probably watched like the old stuff, like the old 70s and 80s shows back when we had sort of like Sky was around, and you had stuff. You see, you should have gone to bed at that point really as a very small kid, like a very tiny little kid, but you've ended up watching stuff like Danger Mouse, Mr. Ben, The Clangers, Bagpuss, I Have the Engine, all this weird stuff, very surreal stuff as well. It's like you're into this weird. It's like being Alice. It's like being Alice in Wonderland type thing. Actually, Teletubbies is 1984 for kids because they controlled by an all-knowing voice. I'm surprised no one's made that reference. Maybe, unless you're the first person to do so. It's basically the Plaid Children's version of 1984. Who knows? They could probably have John Hurt as narrator. I don't know. Actually, no. They had Toya Wilcox, don't they? So basically, they have a punk diva, doing the voice and also being uncontrolled, but the all-knowing voice by a punk diva who's married to a prog rock guitarist. There we go, and who actually is quite mad and quite good-looking for her age. She's about 60 now. I actually found her recently, but still good-looking. Absolutely. That would have been. That seems strange in itself. It does, in a way. Yeah. Again, sort of baffling it is. I do remember. Thomas Sanchez was also 1984 because they controlled, in fact, controlled by a fact dictator on pain of death. Okay, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if you look back at the original books as well, that's all the same thing. In terms of how it was, you always get, I think he was always known as the fact director in the very early books. He was, then became the fact controller. I think in the fourth book, roughly, fourth or fifth book, he's known as fact controller at that point. They actually named him that. I think it was to do like with the what do you call it? What do you call it? Some do the rest. Sort of do over like appreciation or something like the knowing of the railway, something like that. I really don't know. Modernization of the Northwestern Railway. I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think. I think it's alluding the books. It's alluding the books about that. Like he's, are we calling him now this one? We just call him the fact controller. We don't call him the fact director. We just call him the fact controller because of like it's his own world. It's his own property now or something. I don't know. Something like that really. Because it's isolated, I think. But also an interesting thing with the books as well. They actually do take on a lineage, of course. Like I'm trying to think of the other ones. There's what do you call them? I think the first one's called Charles. He's called Charles Top and Hat. I'm not too sure about the other ones. I don't know. Well, what I know in the books done by Christopher the Reverend's son, it's actually the grandson he you see in the TV show. He's actually the controller in the books during the 80s. He is. I think to the 80s and 90s and the 2000s he was in. Really, he was the controller throughout there, which I find strange actually. You sort of look, you think, well, that's one way of doing things, of course. And apparently this leads to some information like, one of them died from a heart attack actually. So that's kind of an obvious thing. And obviously, the son takes over. I think the son takes over. Well, the first fact controller or fact director at that point, still there. Then sort of retires. Then the son takes over. Then I think in the 80s, of course, the grandson takes over. I think. So basically, it's confusing actually. It's very confusing. It is, in a way, for the whole top of that lineage. It's strange. I actually just found out a couple of years ago about it. It's like, wait, what? Obviously, TV shows are completely different. You basically mean they're all bloody immortal, really. In terms of it's the top of the hat, really. With the books, they do acknowledge, all the, they've passed, like the father's passed, and so the son takes over. Yeah, a lot of people make the connection that Thomas is racist because the segregation of steam engines, white people, and diesels, black people, and diesels are often the villains. That is true. That is always true. That is. I think it's obviously alluding to the books as well. Obviously, them being electrical, run on power, and everything else. Again, that sort of thing, and also it sort of does that. It does in a way, but also you can probably assume that the steam engines could be Jewish. We don't know. Obviously, they tend to be been taken away, of course, and then they're being executed. Well, you can probably gather them in like in a massive siding, whatever, like a massive scrapyard or whatever. You call like a version of Auschwitz, and they stay there and rot. And then at the point they can probably be gassed or crushed. That could be another analogy for Jews in wartime, that sort of thing. At least they don't wear striped pajamas or anything like striped blankets or something else. And talk to children over the fence. Really, that's gonna be freaking weird. That is. I hope no one. I get someone might take that idea and maybe do. Although the theory does fall apart slightly, given that there are more good guy diesels than bad guys. There is. There's always been half and half with this. But I always think of the original television series, especially the books as well. There's always a good portion of good diesels as well. I mean, Boko in the books you have Bear, you do, who saw plight and kind nature in a way. Then his other one actually, like what do you call his name? D99 or something like that. Apparently, actually, yeah, that theory works. Actually, a lot of steam engines have striped paintwork. That is true. Yes, liveries on the boilers. Yeah. Oh my god. I wonder if someone actually does that, like makes a recreation of that, or does like a version of the boy in striped pajamas, but with steam trains on the end, and these kids watch them get crushed to death. That'd be really interesting. I suppose no one's done that before, like a parody of it. More like a no, I'd probably say more like a tribute. Really, it's more like a sad parody, isn't it? You know, and they basically was taught him like, well, the son decaying and dying. Yeah, that's quite sad actually. You know, and also a good like a nice little PSA as well. Yeah, likewise you had dickhead steam. Yeah, likewise you had dickhead steam engines. So absolutely. Also, another thing I could probably think about the boy in striped pajamas, of course, is when the kid actually ends up, it ends to a PSA at the end when he ends up being accidentally crushed. That'll be something. He probably gets crushed in the rubble or something. Ah, so the boy does die at the end. You know, unless it's trying to help sympathy. I don't know. But basically conjure up this weird version of Thomas Asher and Friends crossed between the boy in striped pajamas. But that'd be interesting. That'd be something. That'd be weird. That'd be weird. I don't know if that's how it's gonna be in Mark Forster's film. I don't know. Which I totally forgot he was still doing. I don't know if that's. It might be still working on that. I don't know. God, if he did that, I bet someone might watch this actually and look at it and think, that'd be a good idea. Send it to him. He'll probably be ecstatic and make some like a weird art film about it. No, that'd be weird. That could be the next one, of course. And people just probably assume it'll be sad and everything else. Like the end, yeah, like End of Childhood. You probably watch it like it'd be rated 12A or something. You look at it, think Christ, and people will cry at the end. I've always found about looking at that actually now. Think of Mark Forster now, since I mentioned his name. He's always got a weird career he has because he is. I think is he German or Swedish? I'm not entirely sure. I was thinking more of the unreleased Jerry Lewis film, the Day the Clown Cried. I never heard that film actually, so I don't really know. You might give me some info about that actually. The Day the Clown Cried. I'm really interested in now. I'm interested to see what the whole story, what that story is about. I never really watched any Jerry Lewis films. Really, I know there's the Nutty Professor. Apparently about it. I know about him. I'm interested to know what the film's about. Nothing going on. Very much. Oh, there we go. It's about a clown who gets put in a concentration camp for making Hitler jokes. It starts entertaining the Jewish children before they go to the gas chambers. When he realizes he's being used, what he's being used for, he follows the children to get. Oh God, Christ! Wow. that is so unreleased. Wow. When was this actually made? And it was like the 1950s, 1960s or something. Christ. Again, that's quite sad. That is. Again, might be one of those interesting films that probably be released to be on like Don Park, like Schindler's List, sort of like that. Christ. I think I've only ever seen Schindler's List and then Bonus Drop Pajamas. That's the only sort of ones I can probably remember. 1971 to 1972. Okay, so like it was sort of in production and filmed. So around that time in 1971, around 72. Okay, that's interesting. I thought it'd be like 50s, 60s really, but I never knew it was like in the early 70s. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually quite fascinating, actually. So I think if you're doing like in the 50s or 60s, it'd probably be a bit too close to home, really. At that point, it'd probably be like way too soon. Probably, I think in the 70s it'd be fine. Actually, it's like when you look at, I mean, it's like the Daleks, really. In a way, it's like they sort of symbolise like whole like thing about being like Nazis, that sort of thing. It's like I think, and that probably freaked out the war veterans who served in the Second World War. They'll probably get like weird flashbacks and stuff like that, and probably panic attacks, stuff like that, and probably end up in insane asylums if they saw them. Really, so like getting war flashbacks. No, that's too heavy. That's too heavy. Who knows? That's way too point analogy. Like the casual viewers in 1963. Christ. Sitting and smoking the pipes, of course, having a little bit of whiskey, stuff like that. Yeah. It was originally written as a serious drama, but I can tell. Excuse me. Try again. It was originally written as a serious drama, but I can tell if it was a serious drama or a dark comedy. You can't tell. Oh. If it was Jerry Lewis, I could probably say it might be more of a dark comedy, I would say. In a way, did he ever do drama? That was the thing, because I think I only recognised Jerry Lewis as a comedian, much more of a comic actor, in a way, with him. But I think it's more leaning towards a dark comedy, I would say. You don't really expect Gene Wilder to do drama. I don't think he'd ever do, actually, because he never done that. He's always done comedies, really. Like if you think of Gene Wilder, maybe, I don't know. I won't say maybe not Richard Pryor. I don't know, because I think around Superman 3, he was trying to get away from trying not to be full of comedy and make it like a serious role and stuff like that. And then on top of that, you probably say like Christopher Reeve wanted to do interesting movies, of course, like that. But like stick to action, he'd probably be a good start, but he never wanted to do that. When look at Street Smart, of course, and obviously him being famous for Superman, really. But I don't know. Jerry Lewis. Who knows? There might be some towards the end of his life. I don't really know. We're not too sure. I'm not too sure, really. Oh, good. Excuse me. It will be released in 2024 because they donated it to the Library of Congress in 2015 with a contract that they wouldn't release it until 9 years later. Oh, really? So in maybe 2 years' time, we'll be actually in this film. That'll be interesting. That'll be really strange, actually. That'll be a really strange experience, actually. Get this film, probably see it on screens in British Film Institute and whatnot. Mark Kermode praising the hell out of it, or something like that. You probably say, this is the film, sort of I want to see in his own interesting, knowledgeable, sadistic mind, I would say. If you look at Kermode, in a way. If that film, obviously, if it would have been interesting. I mean, it was sort of like, what was the one thing I like? Barry Lyndon, I think. Something like that, in a way. It would be like that. Maybe. Be like some weird sort of on Earth Gem. Yeah, that's interesting. 2024. Christ. That took a long time. Again, until a contract until Lucy was not 9 until 9 years later. Probably just like do fines, stuff like that, you know. Unless the main character's name in the original script was Carl Schmidt, but was changed to Hamlet Durk in production. Okay. Carl Schmidt. I think that's quite familiar. That's like sort of like a standard familiar name for, you know, for the German really. But Helmut de Durk, I would say, yeah, in that horrible accent. Oh yeah. That'll be see how it does. Will be interesting really. Yeah, because Carl Schmidt seems like a very generic name. It's very generic. It is. Whereas Helmut Durk, you know, if I'm pronouncing it, yeah, something like that. It seems a bit more interesting, really. Probably a name you won't expect, I would say, in a way. Oh, good. It was done, but if Jerry Lewis or the writer held it back, Lewis was embarrassed by calling it a bad movie. Really? So he was embarrassed of what was written, what was filmed, everything. Ah, that's strange. Yeah. I think for him, I think because he felt embarrassed, maybe because it's representing obviously that sort of culture with the Jewish, of course. I mean, Auschwitz, Jews, very heavy subject to do, really. I mean, you have to really have balls to do that sort of thing, of course. And you have to be really in a sort of certain place to really do it. Like, you have to be comfortable to do it, I would say, in a way. Like you only get like certain films with Auschwitz anyway, like proper Auschwitz was like sort of familiar. I mean, like Schindler's List. That's the obvious one, really. Born Extravagantes. That, you know, they're sort of like take big risks. You know, they have to be the people who made that, and also the actors have to be really comfortable and be comfortable with the subject matter about it. I think with Lewis, that probably wouldn't be it. I would say if it's going to abandon a movie, you'd probably say things in bad taste or something. Really, it's like, oh, it's a clown. Some, entertain children before they get killed. Jerry Lewis was Jewish himself. Ah, oh, ooh. So again, heritage. Heritage is the main thing. Ah, that's fascinating because I don't know much about Jerry Lewis, really. So I didn't know he's Jewish. All right, that's a lot of nice info there. Yeah, but I think, of course, it's like tarnishing your religion. It's basically tarnishing religion, of course. It's to do with the whole Auschwitz thing, of course. I think that's why he sort of they sort of held it back, especially I think for him as well. Obviously through everything else. I don't know if he was heavily involved. I don't know. Like he was, sort of main producer, sort of like the Bucky and the Ball or something, or just random actor. Like he was just some random actor who's been contracted to do this film. I don't know. I'm not too sure really. Unless he was like heavily involved in the production side of things, of course, and we just don't know. Who knows that? it's a very hard topic to mock the Nazis. Usually those of Jewish heritage is more likely to do it. Absolutely. I would say so. It's like, if you try to do films, do the Catholic Church, you've always get people to be always get the to be offended. Everything else, like Irish Protestants, that's one thing. They probably see a film. They'll probably see William Friedkin's Exorcist, and they'll flip out and stuff like that. Everything else, it might just seems like probably the film not worth seeing. Everything else. Mel Brooks is the most famous example. Basically, like mocking part of democracy. So Mel Brooks was sort of well known for it. Okay, that's interesting. I feel like if you're mocking other bits and pieces like different parts of religion, you can't really just mock everything else. Like in terms of the whole Muslim thing, you can't mock. Again, the Protestant thing, of course, the whole Catholic Church thing, unless people tend to do some weird things. But of course, in fairness, I do tend to take on some writing stuff in terms of biblical stuff, take the piss out of it, really, in terms of the biblical state, of course, and the whole thing of some bits of the Bible that's all been used, really, how it's been read out, and the whole crucifixion stuff. I tend to use that a totally different allegory, or totally different meaning for it, I would say. And the idea of false gods, the idea of non-believing, really. That's that sort of thing. That's sort of thing how I look at it, really. In the 20th century, people were more offended by religion. Monty Python's Life of Brian caused a massive shitstorm in 1979, of course. What else? Passion of the Christ did as well, didn't it? Mel Gibson's film in 2004. That was another one I remember at the time, really, and that was sort of people try and ban that. Nuns would try and ban that as well. Last Temptation of Christ, the Martin Scorsese film. That was another one that sort of, again, reviled as well. Of course, that really offended people of the religious end, really. What was the other ones? What else was around at that time? Yeah, of course, Life of Brian was the obvious one, of course. Temptation of Christ, there'll be another one. Passion of Christ as well. I wouldn't say The Miracle Maker, that stop motion film. I wouldn't say that was the an obvious thing, like an obvious thing, or seized controversy. I don't know. I don't know if you remember that stop motion film from 1999, 2000, something around that time. I really don't know. I remember seeing it on VHS promo I did at that time. Indeed, the producers from 1967, which is great, maybe not primarily show business. Indeed, there was another one that was what was that film? Bloody hell, it was a Spike Lee film, and that was doing the minstrels, trying to do a modern minstrel show as well, something like that. I think that caused a bit of backlash as well. I did at that point. What was it called? I have it on DVD. I have it on DVD. I do, whatever it is. I really don't know, actually. I haven't got my phone on me at the minute. Oh God, I really don't know. But it's one of those entertainment video DVDs I remember getting many years ago. But again, that's like someone trying to modernise minstrel shows, for the 20th century. I think 20th century or 21st century, around that time, I think. And caused a bit of controversy, caused a bit of that sort of thing. Again, controversial stuff it did. What was it? Was there anything that sort of mocked? Anything else? Christ almighty. God. Now, people get offended by things, of course. While still modern, woke culture is still a thing. It's existing, but people always get offended by different things these days. Everything. They always get offended by all sorts of things they do. There's always little tiny little things they tend to, trying to get rid of. This is the thing I'm so frustrated with, really, because the whole woke thing, the whole cancel culture thing as well, that sort of brings up the whole social justice warrior, whole social justice warrior thing. Ah, God, it's just it's one of those things really. I mean, it's like trying to ban movies, of course, and people just try and ban certain things, of course, like. In this country, it's like you always get told people that Muslims are trying to ban Christmas, try and get rid of it, which is total bollocks in a way. Which that's never going to happen, never will. Because it's not their country, it's our country. No offense to maybe a few people, maybe well to the few nice ones, of course. Who knows? But I don't know. I think because everyone, I think around here more, I think around this country more so it's become more multicultural, of course, and we have to take example, of course, who else, But everyone has their own reasons. They probably think, oh, I don't like this guy because of his hair, like of his curly hair's all messed up and everything else. How is he? He's offended. It's like he's trying to promote like something to do with pubic hair or something, that sort of thing. Like make pubic hair more public or something like that, which I think was a thing. It was back in the day with Cameron Diaz. I think she was trying to demonstrate on Richard Ayoade he was uncomfortable with the thing of like a woman touching his head just like that. She'll like a mop, really much like keep like stick her fingers in his curls or something. It's just weird time. It's very strange times it is, of course. It's still going to continue. It's still going to fester this thing. I just feel like everything's too watered down. Everything just feels samey and watered down. It's lost a lot of its edge it has. It feels just like, even edit stuff out really. That seems deeply offensive. Why full English? Christ, that's horrible. Yeah, they tend to nitpick on everything and ignore historical context. That's the problem as well. It's like people try to take down statues and whatnot, of course, and they look at it, think, it's like people walking blind to stuff they do, and it doesn't really make sense really in a way. It's like it's senseless stuff they do. They're walking blind, think, oh, terrible people, terrible. They never shouldn't have done this. Really, it's like when probably people offended who see a child get murdered. If you look at stuff like Mad Max, you look at Pet Sematary, for example, you look at various other stuff, it's like, they could probably, people can probably look at it and think, how dare they kill this child off, it's like they can probably be offended. They can probably be offended The Exorcist as well in terms of the demonic possession, of course. Like, they can probably look at the girl and think, how dare they use this little girl as a proud example of possession, of, sort of like demonic possession. How dare they make it the sign of the devil, that sort of thing. That really gets under people's skin, especially with me as well. I understand I understand where they were coming from. I would agree with them, except I can't get behind most of their targets and their methods. Yeah, that's the thing. I think because everyone seems like it's too deep violent. Like it's everyone seems like violence go turned down. It's got to be watered down completely. It's like a very White House thing. It's like that's still legion of people. Like it's a second wave of people. It's like it's like that really, but more extreme. It's like it appears have grown up and obviously they gave birth to fathers and whatnot, and it's basically end up. It's like putting red tape all over the place. Of course, I think it seems deemed unacceptable. Anyway, it's like you can probably put red tape in front of a pub or something like that and see that is unacceptable. Shouldn't need to exist. Everything else, it's like people like that. People like look at supermarkets, takeaways, whatever. They could look at parks. They could look at strip clubs, certain shops, everything that sort of thing. It could be like that. They could put red tape and think, it's deemed fucking unacceptable. And that's like, it's like this. And the whole thing with the whole culture stuff as well. It's like you have to cater for people as well. You have to cater for people who are coloured, mixed race, that sort of thing. They mostly miss the point. For example, they get offended by Afghanis, even though he was intended to mock right-wing nutcases. True. That is true, but again, people take it a totally different way. They do. You know, people can take offense of comedians as well. In a way, it depends on the basis. I think like Jim Davidson is one example. In a way, just talks about actually doing this on stage at one point to them. It's like ironically, right wingers like Alf Garnett, without releasing them, it's mocking. Without releasing, it's mocking them. Indeed, I haven't seen Alf Garnett for a while. It was always a Tories because my parents remember telling me about to Death Us to Apart really. Death Us to Apart of Sinners and Hell, that sort of thing. They always fondly remember that, of course. They do. Even when, of course, in Sinners and Hell, of course, he ends up with Winston, doesn't he? For a good portion. It's like anywhere else, really. And there'll always be people just to maybe trim down films, of course, like it deems unacceptable. It's like with again with Doctor Who as well, of course. Like you remember with Robert Sherwood in Series 8, you got that sort of the scene, of course. I think the delayed scene, of course, when Ben Miller's Sheriff Nottingham, his head gets cut off, he's going to be an android, and they basically cut it off. I didn't realise the concept of satire unless is spoon fed to them. Oh god, yeah. Shoved down your throat, really. I think satire really sometimes, many of these days is all the place. It's shoved down your throat. It's too much, really. I would say. Either it's good satire like How You Married Back in the Day, with Spear and Image, everything else, really. But I think these days, of course, it's like the whole satire thing. It's just like too on the nose. It's too on the nose. Oh. Really. I'm trying to do a few more minutes, of course, and I'm going to call it a day. Maybe it's about 1:15. I might have finished this. It's at 1:15, I would say. I just realised I'm a bit tired, actually. Oh. That's probably some of the cocktails I'm making earlier on, a couple of 4 or 5 hours ago, whatever. Oh. And I've got meetings to do with the heart with people, with the head on shows as well tomorrow. And one, hopefully, not the scarce bastard. I don't know. We'll see. My phone's bleeping. I can hear it from down here. Someone's messaged me anyway, or something. A group chat's raging like mad. I just don't know, really. I'll be back in a minute. Oh, right. I find it funny when people say Ralph Bakshi's Coonskin has aged horribly, given that the point was to take extreme stereotypes to mock them. Actually, it still is relevant to this day. That is true. That could be true. That's actually true. That is. you know, it's still relevant. It's like when people look at you look at some like over stereotypical stuff like Citizen Khan, anyway, like that sort of over energetic type style, really. You know how they sort of portray people of a certain, you know, maybe of a certain religion, again, like Muslim or Hindi or whatever, that sort of thing. Obviously, it seemed relevant to the video. Of course, it was like some stuff. It's like goodness gracious me as well. That sort of takes the elements as well, doesn't it? In a way, not too extreme as it used to be back in the day, but it sort of does that sometimes. Makes it over the top and a bit more campy if you look at it. Whereas it was quite different, I would say. Maybe. I really don't know. Stuff involving that stuff, I really don't care for, really. I look at Citizen Khan and think, bollocks. Nah, not my thing. Back in the 70s, it was massively controversial, mainly from people who didn't see it or didn't see what its point was. Yeah, so the sort of film and look, I think, you know, like, oh, they're just discriminating black people, have to look and everything else. How it is, you know, if, you know, free people from like bloody, where is it from? Like Florida's end up in Harlem, don't they? Of course. Then they see this is the Black Jesus. They look at Miss America, whatever, you know, and that's all this weird stuff, you know, and it's like, yeah, well, I think it's done again. It's done something like that. I don't really. I just look at Coonskin very much as just a film, really. In Coonskin, everyone's mocked. If everything, it's more transphobic than racist. Ah, that could be true. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched Coonskin. It's again, I probably need to see that film at some point as well. It's it probably is, because I don't really look at that as sort of as a racist film. Really, it doesn't really lead into that as very much, because it does focus on quite a few number of black characters. Really, I think how it's designed. People look at it actually, you think, you know, oh, they're just being racist there. But actually, in his crew, just being bloody racist, aren't they? But I think it's given some little bit of substance to it, really. Again, like you mentioned with the transphobic stuff as well. Probably, I can't remember any transphobic stuff about it, actually, to be honest. I can't really think of it, so who knows? Indeed. All things, really. Actually, Bakshi was one of the few non-black people to work on it. Really? So it was basically all done by black animators and black crew members. Oh, I never knew that. I always thought maybe it might have been half and half, but I never knew most of the crew was actually black. My God, that explains it actually. So they were sort of like giving, you know, so do like, we'll just do this. Actually, we'll do this sort of thing. Really, it's like it'll be fine, of course. And people just took really offense to it. Of course, you know, it's like some of the crew members' family or wives will come over and have a look. You think, you know, and fucking stop this. You know, what kind of fucking film this is? Have you disgraced the family or whatever? You know, I don't know. Bakshi had a largely black staff during the early 70s. Even Disney didn't hire as many. So he was sort of like the forefront to actually make it a bit more diverse, even like a diverse crew, really. Good on him. I have to admit, good on Bakshi, very much for that sort of thing. So that's a pretty good thing, actually. You know, and obviously he probably continued with some them lot, you know, for mostly black staff through his career, really, very much until the very end, really, until he just basically decided to give up, really, and retire. That'd be interesting. That seems might be the logical thing, actually. That would have been an interesting one to do, indeed. Sorry, I'm yawning a lot. I'm yawning a lot. Christ. But it's an interesting fact. I didn't know about coonskin, really. So that's a nice little funny one. That is good. Just be back a sec. Oh. Right. I think I might have to finish the stream, I would say. You know, well, 10:15 already, so I might as well finish the stream actually, because I'm going to be tired actually, to be honest. I'm losing sort of energy at the minute. Doing a lot of yawning. Also, got a little busy day heading into tomorrow as well. Meeting as well, head ups, and everything. So I'm going to be a busy bloody day tomorrow. And I'm so a lot. Christ. So, might as well finish here anyway. So, call this night, and we'll probably carry on with next week on Tuesday. So back on its original day, which is finally hooray. Well, hopefully, actually, I'll see anyway. See what happens. Hopefully, it doesn't really change. Actually, no. I think we'll be fine actually next week. So it'll be fine. Actually, yes, be fine on Tuesday. So next Tuesday will be the next live stream anyway. So that'll be good. Anyway, DVD and Film Bloke, I think we have to wish you good night. Good night, sir. Hope you have a good time. And we'll see you for next week, of course, and we'll talk about more about Bakshi. That seems to tend to be the more topic we always tend to talk about, which is absolutely fine. Great stuff. Anyway, so I'll see you then, mate. Best of luck, and I'll see you next week. See you around.